Good morning and welcome back to another episode of Dubai Works Business Podcast. This week we're talking all things crypto world with Phil Harvey, the CEO of Phoenix Technology. They are a global leader in cryptocurrency, including mining, hosting, investments, and the official Bitman distributor for the region. He's also accumulated a specific skill set over a number of years in various industries, such as the British military, security, finance, and construction. Having worked in the space with various groups, Phil now combines his passion and experience of operations and planning with blockchain industry knowledge in setting up Phoenix Technology's global operations that spans 3 continents. So what Phil's mission at Phoenix Technology is to lead the company to be the biggest global player and benchmark in the cryptocurrency mining business. Today, we're going to talk about Phoenix Technology, the industry of cryptocurrency and data mining, and the future of the company. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Phil. How are you?
Yes, good. Whichever one you want to choose. How you doing?
I'm very good, thanks. So you're joining us from South Carolina, and it's 3 a.m.
Yep. Luckily for me, for you, yeah,
So
3 a.m.
for you, yeah. Are you just up, or are you still awake?
No, just finishing off the day, unfortunately.
Amazing. So tell us a little bit more about Phoenix Technology, what it does, and where you're set up, and the story basically.
Sure. Phoenix has been around for a number of years now, 7 in total. Started off in the mining space with GPUs and then progressed into the more custom-made machines, the ASICs machines that we readily use today. We have operations in Middle East, in Russia, North America, hence why I'm currently here. And we set up our mining operations for our own equipment, as well as the equipment that we look after for clients in Dubai, where you guys will know us from. We have our showroom there, as well as the showroom that we just recently opened in Turkey. So a number of different applications, but all to do within the mining space.
Okay, so that kind of narrows it down, because obviously the crypto world is quite broad and there's a lot of topics, and we can get into some of them. But specifically around mining, like, people would have come across it in the news, a lot to do with the narrative around energy and things like that. But when you have a store, are you selling are you selling computers? Is it hardware heavy, or what sort of services do you provide?
Sure. I mean, look, the whole idea and movement behind having a physical location is, my world is typically online, so people don't necessarily get to experience it. So there was a big push from our side to just have a central location where people could come through, understand a little bit more about the industry from individuals that live and breathe the space. So that was why we'd opened the stores in Dubai and then recently in Turkey. The stores themselves, we sell the mining hardware, the ASICs machines from Bitmain. So the showroom, if you will, is a very high-end boutique style showroom, very clean, very simplistic, Apple style-esque. And clients or anyone that's interested in getting into mining can come to the showroom and look and see, feel the hardware itself, and then ask the questions to us, the guys that run the blockchain from a very basic fundamental aspect.
So the Bitmain computers, are they a general provider of normal computers, or do they do something specific? This device is some. You said it again. Sorry. The yeah.
ASICs, yeah. So Bitmain are the largest equipment manufacturer for our industry. They also have AI machines as well, but they're predominantly within the Bitcoin mining space, or SHA-256, which is the algorithm that Bitcoin operates on. They also offer a number of other different machines within the space, but as I say, primarily it's the Bitcoin mining machines that we're familiar with.
Okay, interesting. So is that your main business? Is that the main source? If someone, a client, someone, obviously, I assume that they buy a number of these devices as a customer. Do you service them? Do you provide them? Do you ship them? Is that sort of where you make your revenue from?
Um, yes, we do start to finish for mining. So a prospect could come into the showroom to discuss either purchasing the equipment and then running themselves, or they can purchase their equipment and then they can be left with us, which is called hosting, which is very common in the industry. So we're able to look after their equipment as well over a set period of time. Um, the machines themselves as a single unit are easy enough to run, but then when you run 20, 30,000 machines as we do, it's a large space that you need and footprint, either that be from a power draw or physical, to run these things, and they generate a huge amount of heat and noise. So it's not necessarily something that you want in the bedroom, let's say.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah. And do you operate these devices, most of those 30,000, and where are they located?
Some of them are in Russia. We have locations as well in Canada. And then this is why I'm here in the US at the moment. We're currently expanding into a 100 plus megawatt facility that's under construction,
Oh, wow.
as well as looking for another 100 megawatts. So yeah, on the hunt for power.
Amazing. Yeah. Wow. So it's such an interesting space. So the hosting part of it, is that something that Bitmain provides, or do you work with sort of other well-known clouds hosting providers?
No, so we offer our own hosting services, and hosting is, I'm basically the landlord. So, we were fortunate enough to enter into a relationship together, and you wanted to buy machines. You don't have anywhere to put them. You would say, "Hey, Phoenix, can you look after my machines? And I'll pay you, for doing so." So we actually provide, fortunately, that service to Bitmain as well. So not only do we buy machines from them, they purchase their own machines and then give them to us to run also. So really what we're trying to do is create and maintain our own ecosystem from the purchase of the machine all the way through to running of that machine as well, for either us or an individual that wishes to invest within the space.
Interesting. But so is it locally hosted, as in, is it most mining done on the cloud, or is it done through the computers locally?
Physically,
Yeah.
wherever the computer is.
Okay.
So Canada, US, the Americas for us.
Okay.
However, the way that the mining process works, all of the computers on the network join together to solve the equation. So your computer, may be in Kazakhstan, mine could be in the Philippines, but we're all providing that system or that service on the network together.
Okay, good. I'm getting there. Sorry to understand everything. So we can move on. Yeah, so the typical customer, or is there a typical customer? Is this a miner, or is this someone who is looking to is it one of the tokens or the coins themselves, or who are your customers?
It could be almost anyone. Unfortunately, the barrier to entry within the space is the single cost of a machine. So we're happy to sell, a single unit to anyone, and that can retail between, $5,000 to $15,000 per machine. So that's the only barrier to entry. Before, boys and girls would do this in their bedroom on homemade computers, but now they're going into more of a specialist computer. So we still get the hobbyist that wants to mine. Majority of our clients that we see are the tech savvy investor that want to get into the space and want to own the hardware themselves, and want to mine, but not necessarily on our level, an industrial level. Maybe 10 to 1,000 machines is the range of investment that we see.
Interesting. So to put things into perspective, where are we today? Phoenix Technology has been running, as you mentioned, for 7 years. What's the current market opportunity for mining, and what's the landscape? Are there many competitors? And yeah, what's the kind of status quo for this industry that you're playing in?
So 7 years of mining is an absolute lifetime, given that it's 3 o'clock in the morning and it's pretty much 20 hours working in the crypto space. Um, Mining industry is an interesting one. It all depends on who you're talking to within crypto. So you have the traders that are trading the coin that we in essence manufacture every 10 minutes every day. They have a very different outlook on the industry. It's a lot hotter because they're living it, second by second, trading the ups and downs. Whereas us as the miners, it's a slower pace, but I can tell you now it's not that slow. We've just seen a huge move of global hash power, so global computing power, move from China. Their move to ban mining, from my perspective, was something that they needed to do in order to reduce their carbon footprint. We produce, or we require, a lot of power to run our operations. China's carbon footprint was getting out of control. So an easy win for them was to remove an industry that is sometimes operating in the gray area. Not that what we do is illegal. It's the obtaining of power in some of these regions in China wasn't necessarily the cleanest solution that could have been provided. So with China removing all of that, it offered the rest of the world the ability to increase their computing power, because that hash power had to go somewhere. It was around about 53%, so just over half of the compute network was based within the China region. So that has now started to disperse around the rest of the world, and we've seen regions such as Russia, such as North America, increase their foothold in the global production market for hash power. So on the one hand, the traders have taken the coin from, let's say, 60,000 US dollars per Bitcoin, now down to 30,000. However, because the number of computers on the network has also halved, my revenue is the same. So it all depends on which side of the Bitcoin space, the crypto space, that you are viewing this from. As usual in life, everything is about perspective. So we'll start to see that hash power increase again as more machines get put onto the network, as people are able to sign power contracts in other jurisdictions. But mining is something that will be around for many years, let's say, at least until the year 2140, which is when the last Bitcoin will be mined. So there's some legs in it yet.
Yeah, interesting. So just specifically on that, the mining that you do with the Bitmain and the shard is specifically for Bitcoin. You don't mine other coins at the moment.
We don't. No. With the machines that we run, you can mine any SHA-256. SHA, SHA, standing for Secure Hash Algorithm 256. Okay. So that's Bitcoin Cash, Bitcoin Satoshi's Vision. So all these coins can be mined with the machines that we run.
Okay, so basically you're 7 years in, you've got about 19 years to go, and you're going to be many sleepless nights until you mine all the crypto Bitcoin in the world.
Yeah, 120 years to go, 2140.
So, 21?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have that long on the clock.
Okay, wow. Okay, so there's a lot to go. Yeah, so mining essentially, when people are trading, this is the thing, and Bitcoin in particular, it's capped, yet the other coins, so many of them aren't capped, and people talk about inflation and different sorts of factors are here. But essentially, when people are trading something, they need supply, whichever token or currency it is. And to create that supply, what your business and your company is doing, you're you're like the Fed, you're printing money, except you're mining Bitcoin.
Yeah, in effect, yes. And look, unfortunately, the guys that I have to pay for power don't accept Bitcoin yet. So I'm also, along with my fellow miners, creating a certain amount of liquidity at points, because the product that I mine, the Bitcoin, needs to be sold into the market to create a liquidity pool for me to take fiat cash out to pay my service providers. So, not only are we mining that resource that people are trading, we're also selling it into the market in order for us to get cash to pay for goods and services.
Okay, so usually, forgive me if I'm wrong, but when miners do generally take some themselves, right? Is there a percentage, and that's what you're talking about, to sort of you mine a Bitcoin, but you take something to pay for your overheads?
Yeah, I was just reviewing one of the clients' portfolios today. One of the clients will have made 87% net profit this month, which is pretty typical. They're seeing a net return of around about 6.5% every month, which is pretty astonishing for any investment. That's become the norm within our space. Yes, it's risky because it's Bitcoin at the end of it. But with the migration of the hash power, the current BTC price, current market sentiment, the revenue per computer share that you generate is extremely lucrative, and it has been year to date. So it's a great win for the investors at the moment.
Fascinating. So if people are trying to understand mining, they don't need to actually be technically, it's more of an investment. You can choose to invest in mining, work with a provider like you, whether they purchase the device or not, they can pay you that amount, also pay you the management fee, and get a return on investment each month just on mining, rather than even holding their own Bitcoin. Yeah,
absolutely. And that's, the idea of the showrooms is not just to sell. Obviously, it's great if we can sell that's one of the ideas, but the other piece is to educate. We're in a space that is predominantly online, and that does get bad press through misrepresentation or misinformation. So, the whole push from our side was to, if we can open up a few showrooms, if we can do, interviews like this to get the word out there about mining, about the space that we operate and have operated in for a number of years, then, that education goes a long way. And if people are comfortable and with the level of risk that is inherent in the space, and they choose to invest, then there are some potentially lucrative returns that they can capitalize on.
Interesting. So talking about some of that press, and just in particular around regulation, are we talking about regulation differently for cryptocurrencies and how they're used in the world, and regulation around the power contracts that you sign and that side of things? So are you more occupied with favorable terms in terms of being able to mine in terms of power?
Regulation is needed in a space, full stop. We're not a bedroom industry anymore. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry in all aspects, whether that be the machines, the trading, the businesses that operate on the blockchain, business that supports the blockchain. So we need to fall in line with other industry best practice, and a lot of that is formulated with regulation. For my industry specifically, that regulation is starting to be formed around the PPAs, the power purchase agreements, and that's because it's the main part of our operations. The amount of power that we consume as a miner is enough to run a couple of thousand houses. So, when I'm in the market to purchase power, as I am in the moment, the conversation I'm having is governmental level. The same with a lot of my counterparts, and we're vying to take power from city planners, in essence.
Wow. That
are looking to expand their cities. So it's not just, hey, I want a couple of 100 megawatts to run my operation. It's what effect does the industry I want to support, I want to build, have on, the city landscape that you're looking to build, for us now, in South Carolina. So, that's the level of power that we're looking to consume, and our competitors or counterparts are looking to do the same all over the world. So it does need to be regulated, and we are regulated because we're operating now in a world where large manufacturing industries, aluminium, pulp and paper, chemical, they operate in the same world and they have to buy power. So we are aligning with that. I think the big push at the moment is green energy, which I'm sure is a question that you have on the list to ask.
Yeah, definitely, absolutely. But so, firstly, in terms of the locations that you've chosen, and you mentioned the PPA documents or contracts, are they more favorable in Russia, North America, Canada at the moment, or because they're less regulated, or because it's more advanced? What's the opportunity for governments or industries or locations to sort of embrace this as a new manufacturing space?
So, we look to hire around 3 people for every megawatt of power consumed, and that's 24/7 is what we operate, as we've alluded to a number of times in jest. So, our crypto industry has been synonymous recently with being COVID proof, disaster proof, because it runs 24/7. So let's say the employees can't turn up to work. A lot of the operations are automated, and we can run self-sufficiently without many people there. But we're consuming power, so that's also generating revenue for the power company or the utility or the government. So there's a constant revenue stream coming, and it's volume. It's large volumes that we consume, as we've already noted. So the regulation's already there, because these power purchase agreements are already heavily regulated, because they're selling power. Okay. The regulation that's starting to creep in is to do with where is your energy coming from. So Russia does well, America does well, North America does well, Canada, because these guys have a large production of renewable energy, hydro, solar, wind. They also have a lot of gas and or coal. But that's something that our industry is looking to step away from, and has to step away from. Again, if we're to align with the rest of the world on clean energy, on alignment to whatever the latest narrative is to be sustainable, we must also follow that, to be in keeping with the rest of the industries. So that's really where the regulation's sitting now, is where does your source of energy come from? Is it deemed clean and or renewable?
Interesting. Yeah, so as you explained, the power that you're using to mine crypto is similar to another manufacturing company, but I guess the reason the crypto space is getting more heat, forgive the use of the word, but more attention, is because maybe it's new, and it mightn't have been necessary at a time of heightened attention around climate change. And then you alluded to China's decision around carbon emissions, and there has been a lot of chat recently in the last few months around Tesla. Elon Musk is a big propagator, or promoter of Bitcoin, saying we no longer accept Bitcoin for Tesla. So this is kind of almost spooked the market that crypto mining can't be renewable or can't be done in a eco-friendly way. And I guess maybe at the moment people are looking for solutions and talking about things that might happen. What's your current take on it, on sort of like you were talking about in terms of renewable energy for mining, and where we are and where we're going?
Great couple of questions. Big questions as well. Hot questions in the industry right now. Remember at the start of the conversation, we were saying, geographically, your machine could be, in location X, mine could be in location Y. So let's say that your energy runs on solar, fully renewable. Mine runs in a gas field in Alberta, let's say, and I'm converting natural gas into electricity. We're both supporting the network. You're renewable, clean energy, and I'm a fossil fuel. By that very nature, the network is then not running on sustainable energy because 50% is being provided by you on renewable and 50% by me on a carbon-based, non-renewable energy source. So the issue I would say that I have with the current narrative and stance of a lot of people in the industry is that it's unrealistic to assume or suggest that the blockchain could be fully renewable, and that advocates such as Mr. Musk are saying it's we support Bitcoin but we don't support unclean mining. Yeah, to a cent. That's the right way to be. We need to push a renewable narrative 100%. But is it realistic to assume that the network can be wholly renewable? The answer is no. It only takes one hobbyist miner to run a container full of machines in a gas plant somewhere, and then the network then is no longer renewable. So and that's extremely difficult to try and regulate. It's, I would say, impossible. Where we can, we have to use renewables. But again, how are those renewables created? The dam that provides my hydroelectricity in Winnipeg, in Manitoba, was not built with clean energy. It was built with fossil fuels, the trucks, the forests, the deforestation that had to occur. So we need to be extremely careful on, what sustainable means, what renewable means, and we need to have a certain acceptance level, and understanding that, okay, our industry is new. Every miner that I speak to is happy to align to a clean energy provision, but the rest of the world needs to be realistic in, what that means, and not poke and prod too much. The chemical industry, the aluminium, the pulp and paper manufacturing industry consume huge amounts of power on par with what we consume. And as far as I'm aware, those guys haven't had heat for where their power comes from. For other things maybe, but certainly not for power consumption. So, that's where I would sit on that.
It's good to have it in the context, and thanks for explaining. I guess to push a little bit, and, for listeners who want to ask the more climate push questions, people mightn't have questioned those industries because they see the need for them. They're not going to say, hey, the cars that we drive, we have the option. Yeah, tomorrow we're not going to be fully out of oil, but we can have electric. And you're saying the same thing, but we need cars, or we need computers, or we feel like we do in our daily lives. And I think people don't understand the crypto world might come at it from a point, well, like China, why don't we just ban mining, or why don't we just ban crypto, or so a more bigger sort of, hey, do we really need this before we unleash this onto the world? Is now the chance to say, let's just stop that crypto stuff. It's too late.
Yeah, if only that were the case. I mean, Bitcoin's been around the same amount of time as Uber, for example. And if we use Uber as a case, the number of countries that have tried to ban Uber because it's been taking jobs away from taxi drivers, it was misunderstood, misrepresented. Now look at where Uber is. It's the biggest ride sharing or taxi service globally. Everything needs to be understood and adapt to the jurisdiction that it operates in, and education is a huge piece in that. We have to keep up with the times. And when the car overtook the horse, there was a big hoo-ha around that. And we're seeing it again in that industry with the electric vehicle superseding the petrol vehicle. So things evolve. We have to follow the trend, and we have to learn to accept the new industry that we create, and find a place for it in the world. And that's the beautiful thing about who we are as human beings. We've created something, and we need to learn to deal with that now that Pandora's box has been opened.
Fair enough. But are there other ways? I'm not brilliant on this, but are there other ways? I think Ethereum too, and things like that. That doesn't. I think what scares people in some respects is that the knowledge of pictures of mining computers in fields or warehouses, that the power, the vast power, you mentioned thousands of houses, that's needed to create something that we just see on the blockchain. We might have thought it was matrix, like it was just on a device. We mightn't have thought that, hey, it needs huge power to create these things. So rather than hoping that renewables move faster, or hydrogen or other things, is there ways to reduce the power on Bitcoin as well that's needed to mine?
Yeah, and that's called efficiency. And that's what's happening with the mining machines. There's rumored to be a new machine that will launch later this year from Bitmain, which will use the latest 5 nanometer chip, which is something that Apple is now using in their latest products. So with this increase in efficiency, we produce more computer output for less power draw.
Okay.
So this is how all industry evolves, and ours is no dissimilar to that. So the more that the industry is able to grow, the more the industry is understood, the more resource we can put into the industry, and that resource will be put to task to reduce or increase the efficiency, which will then reduce the number of mining farms that we need, the power draws of those mining farms, and we'll reach to that tipping point, that equilibrium, where the farm expansion will cease, and the power will then start to drop, but the output will continue to increase. And that's not too far away. I wouldn't suggest, given that the latest figures that are being released for these computer chips.
Okay, great. So brilliant. I've learned something about efficiencies, but of course, there's a chip shortage in the world as well. So that might be another hurdle.
Yeah, I mean, look, the largest chip manufacturer, TSMC, I mean, they produce for Apple, and you've got Samsung, who's a big player in the industry as well. There's always a shortage of something, right? We always have to deal with the constant supply and demand. That's just how it is. Great. I mean, it's going to restrict, the entry into this space. It will reduce the amount of new computers that go onto the network, which makes it more profitable for new to entry miners, and reduces the burden on the network at the moment to constantly have the latest and greatest machine. So if there is a chip shortage, it won't be the first time. We just have to deal with it.
Yeah, get on with it. Also, Phil, I was wondering about mining in general. Is it always sort of decentralized? Is it always away from the coin or the company, or is there ever a case where, almost like Coinbase, is there ever a case where the CEO of a token, they're managing their own mining, and how does that work?
Yeah, so a company called Tal, who are the founders or backers of BSV, Bitcoin Satoshi's Vision. So those guys have created the coin, and they also mine that coin to support their business endeavor. So there are a number of companies that have a coin and that mine a coin. Bitcoin will never be that, because there is no one group or individual thus far that has come forward to say that they are Satoshi. So there are a number of companies that do it. Majority of the mining companies that I know of, they don't have a coin. They all mine to support the various different networks, whether that be BSV, BCH, or BTC, Bitcoin. That's.
And the other ones, the other coins, like we mentioned Ethereum, but any of the other ones, the new technologies that are emerging, how does that sort of mining ecosystem work?
Very, very similar to ours. Look, with mining, you're supporting the network, so you're supporting the transactions, or you're supporting, in Bitcoin's case, you're generating that new coin. With Ethereum, for example, the coins are in existence, so you're supporting that network that then operates on that framework, on the Ethereum blockchain and framework. So one is proof of stake, so you're staking the coins, so you're holding those coins and supporting through holding, and the other one is proof of work, which is Bitcoin. So you're working on the network to provide that support to create new coins into existence.
Okay, interesting. And so your company is pretty much focused on the proof of work parts and doing what you're doing with the devices. Is that the sort of roadmap? There's obviously a long time to go, but is that the sort of roadmap, or are you looking at doing other things like the proof of stake or anything else?
So we believe in specializing in one of the subjects, which is going to be Bitcoin mining. We've learned some valuable lessons over the years. We have a great relationship, a very rare relationship with Bitmain to be their only official distributor, which is a huge accolade to have, and obviously aligning to the biggest partner in the industry. So we will continue to purchase the machines to operate on our own use, as well as to sell into the industry and offer services to others to get into mining. The plan for our company specifically in terms of growth is to become one of the largest miners globally, and to offer that premier service, to offer the framework, the regulation that you and I have spoken about, is to give a benchmark for cryptocurrency mining. What should the farm look like? How should it operate? What number of staff should be hired? What education, what background do they have to have? What do we have to give them in order to operate in that space? And to have a number of locations globally to support that.
Wow, I didn't really understand. So you are the exclusive distributor for one of the leading manufacturers globally on Bitcoin. Okay, that's not something to walk away from. Okay, so but
correct, yeah.
I think we've moved on quite quickly onto a lot of things, and thanks, it's been really interesting. But just to kind of go back a bit, Phil, to ask how you got involved into the crypto world in the first place.
Yeah, a buddy of mine suggested you should look into this. Yeah, sure, no issues. So I went and deposited $1,000 into an ATM on Sheikh Zayed Road, into I think it was Rack Bank. I opened up a conversation on some chat forum with some unknown individual. I highly do not recommend doing any of this. And the guy said, yeah, go put this money into my account and I'll send you some Bitcoin, whatever that was. So off I went, put the money in the account, and all of a sudden I had some digital numbers showing up on my account. Bitcoin was around about $250 at the time.
Whoa.
And I thought, great, okay, no idea what this is. And not knowing, ultimately what I was doing, which is a recurring theme, I sold that out and put it into something called Darkcoin, which is now Dash. And then I bought some more Bitcoin later on, and inevitably it went down. So I thought, well, that was a waste of money and time. And then the same guy rung me back up and, oh my, have you seen the price? Quick, have a look. And Dash as an idea had gone up 60,000%. So
Whoa,
this
those
was
numbers. Yeah.
early days, yeah. So I just wish I put more than $1,000 in at the time, but there we go.
FOMO. Yeah. So when was that?
Uh, 7 odd years ago, 8 years ago, if not longer. Honestly,
Yeah.
it's whenever Dash was Darkcoin.
Okay.
So yeah, a number of years ago.
So 2012, 2013, 2014, 2015, you're living and working in Dubai, you're in another industry, and you
Yep,
start sort of as a retail investor trader, and then you start learning about the space.
100%. Yeah.
Okay. So then you left the other industry and you jumped into crypto full time and you choose mining.
Yeah, it's I chose mining because it plays on one of my strengths and something that I enjoy, which is processes and procedures and operations.
Yeah.
And I get to build these huge facilities and operate them and get all the moving parts working at a granular level, and then hand that over to the guys to run. As well as working on the investment pieces with larger scale investors, and it's fun. It's super interesting, and there's always something to review. Either a farm in another location needs assistance because they're having difficulties on how that runs, or there's a new machine coming out and you need to retrofit the old farms. So yeah, there's a multitude of different verticals within the same space or problems to solve.
Fascinating. I think many people will be amazed to see that you can approach crypto in the way that you using your strengths and skills, which could be obviously used in traditional sort of manufacturing and operations or running any company. So and you don't have to be a massive coder or a techie person
No, not
that
at all.
you can do it from operations. Amazing. So can you talk a little bit more around sort of Dubai and the Middle East and what your experience has been and how you set up the company and what sort of licensing that you needed and things like that?
Yeah, so because the machines don't stay in Dubai, they operate, either Russia, North America. Licensing wise, we're selling a computer, so there's nothing needed there. The crypto industry in the UAE is still extremely new, and they're trying to understand, what it is that all these different players in the market do. And as ever with the UAE, they're very forthcoming on wanting to be the premier within that industry, which is fantastic. Again, we can always do more to support and educate the government on what it is mining is. There are a few mining facilities in the UAE, but typically due to the heat, it does perturb a lot of investors setting up there. It's another level of investment that you require in order to manage that heat,
Hmm.
as well as the equipment themselves. So, you know, um, regulatory wise, there's not much that's needed, just because mining isn't something that's done large scale. The regulation that's becoming in the industry, in the UAE, is around coin sales, trading. What is Bitcoin classed as, or cryptocurrency classed as? How do you move it around? How do you sell it? Are there taxation implications?
Are there any other countries in the region who are kind of exploring this at a sort of at a speed with momentum where you think that mining can happen, or that just there can be more favorable environment for energy and regulation around what you're doing?
In the GCC, no, because we all suffer from heat. So there's we can't remove that issue. As we move outside of that region, the CIS region, and again Americas, then yes, those guys have a bit more of a temperate climate that lends way to mining.
Mm.
I mean, even here in South Carolina, it's a steady 30-ish degrees daily. So we have to have large industrial fans that pump that air into the facility, and it's okay. It's not ideal, You want a temperature between 5 and 20 degrees. That's kind of your sweet spot. But then you also need cheap power.
Yeah.
So the places that offer the weather, the power, the labor resource. So it's you try and have to make the best of what you have.
But so a forward-thinking government in the region who wanted to get involved in a new manufacturing space that had good power, not necessarily the Levant region at the moment, but in that sort of thing, that you think that this would be an interesting space for for governments to look into, or North Africa and places like that?
Yeah, political stability, unfortunately, is something then that investors will look at. Africa is suggested to be able to solve all of the world's power requirements just through renewables alone. Unfortunately, the investment doesn't go into that. So, as I noted before, the amount of power that we consume is cities worth of power. Unfortunately, for the regions in Africa, the power infrastructure that they have isn't able to sustain the infrastructure that they currently operate. So it would be extremely unfair and unfavorable for the industry I operate in to go there and take power that unfortunately is needed a lot more by its inhabitants than us. So again, while the availability of power is potentially there with investment, the infrastructure isn't, as well as the political state of a lot of these regions isn't there to support a billion-dollar industry.
Okay.
Sadly.
So the places, well explained, yeah. So the places that you've chosen are to be kind of bigger units and not sort of individual people spread around. So kind of lastly then, to finish, with Phoenix Technology, what are you hoping that the kind of industry classifies mining as? So we talked about other cryptocurrencies, whether they're commodities or whatever they're being classified as, in order to know how to regulate them. Would it be easier if people classified mining in a certain way, or what would you and your peers like the narrative to be around what you do?
Manufacturing, in essence, same as a gold miner. Same as silver. We're a mine, just a modern day mine, but we're a producer. We're a manufacturer. It's what happens after that process, after we've refined our precious resource. So Bitcoin for our world, or gold for the others, and silver. So that has to be regulated for what we class that product as. Is it a commodity? Is it a modern day precious metal? Is it currency? That's the thing that needs to be regulated, and depending on which geographical jurisdiction you operate in, it's deemed as certain things. So there needs to be a global consensus for what that is. Then there will be global taxation for what that's then deemed as. But that's unfortunately the way that it goes.
Interesting. Okay. Well, good. I think I get it as manufacturing. So you've convinced me. You've convinced one. But so, Phil, like obviously you said that you are the sole distributor and you know what you're doing and you're good at it. But there must be another reason. You must really have a bull case for Bitcoin. There's been a lot of narrative around Ethereum. NFTs are quite zeitgeisty at the moment, and people are watching trends and seeing how things are going. So, what is your sort of view of Bitcoin? Is it that store of value, and what are the kind of things that you think people will see in the next few years?
So Bitcoin is the original. There is no other like it. Everything else is a copy of that, and that's what I like about it. When you look at the white paper that supports Bitcoin, when you understand what it's created, the industry that surrounds it now, what's come from it, the competition, the pushing the growth of the chips. it's phenomenal to believe that an individual or a group created this from inception, and there was nothing like it before. And the only things that have come after, again, are replicas or copies. So that's what excites me about Bitcoin. Where did it come from? What was it truly set up to achieve? Will we ever know? Hopefully not. I like that air of mystique about something, and it's rare that we have that in this day and age. So that's what excites me about Bitcoin. Anyone can own it. You don't need to own one Bitcoin. You can own a fraction of, which is called a Satoshi, and it enables free trade globally. I don't need to go through various different remittance banks and have a number of different questions asked about what's moving around with the cash and where's it going, who's it going to. Yes, we need regulation. We need to make sure that we're aligned to certain know your customer and anti-money laundering laws. But again, we are trying to move forward as individuals in this world, and Bitcoin really truly enables that without anyone looking over you. So I'm a huge advocate for anything that can enable individuality.
Amazing. Thanks for explaining again. And okay, so thanks for your time at very early hours over there. Are you, once you've kind of set that up, are you kind of continuing sort of moving around to the different places that you are, or do you intend to run this enterprise from Dubai in the future?
Great questions. I would love to know the answer to them myself. We need another 150 megawatts. So, after I've built this endeavor, the plan for me is to come back to Dubai in August. So I was just there, and then to Turkey, as I noted, to open that showroom. So back in August at some point, to start from scratch, look at the drawing board, see what relationships that we can grow, hopefully in Canada this time. And and put another flag down for another facility. And then the nice part about these facilities that we open up globally is, we do have great strategic relationships and partnerships with people that can run them for us, almost like a facilities management provider. We put the infrastructure in, the policies, the procedures, and they run them for us. So that would be the short-term plan. By the end of the year, to at least sign another agreement up, and then it will be refinement of operations and just keeping that ball rolling, and then providing the service that is our plan to the industry, and just creating that premier service.
Fascinating discussion.
At some point.
Sorry, and sleep.
Sleep, yeah.
I'm going to let you sleep now, but as you talk, I keep thinking of more things. So it'd be great to follow your story, your journey. It's been fascinating conversation. Definitely, learned so much. So thanks a lot for sharing, Phil. And we'll keep in touch. We follow Phoenix Technologies.
Perfect. Well, thanks for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.
That's it for another episode of Dubai Works. Thank you so much for listening, and please leave a review on the podcast platform that you're listening to. It really helps with organic searches. Also, if you'd like to appear on Dubai Works or know someone who has an inspiring business story in Dubai, please do get in touch on any of the smashy social platforms.